Hey, everyone, and welcome back to the MLS Now podcast preseason extravaganza. I don't know if I've used that one yet to describe us, but I'm using it again if I already have. So we have, as always, more content coming your way. Today we are covering Nashville SC, doing a little bit of preview content for them. But first, as always, the housekeeping items to get out of the way first. As always, I'm your host, Russell. You can find me on social media at MLS Now Podcast. You can also find me on my personal account at Mr. Dangerous. And, of course, what would a podcast be for preseason without an expert on Nashville themselves, joining us all the way from, Nashville. Not that far for me, but for some of you might be far. But joining us, we've got Christian. Christian, hello. Wonderful to have you on here again. I believe you're no longer on Twitter. So if people wanted to find you on social media, where would they find you now?
I actually started Blue Sky, so I'm at Super Wyatt on Blue Sky, still talking soccer on there.
Awesome. Well, to everyone listening, go give Christian a follow on Blue Sky. A number of people we've had on here have switched to Blue Sky, so I'm glad to see that starting to catch on. But Christian, we're not here to talk social media. We are here to talk about the most important thing in the world, which is the enigma wrapped in a mystery that is Nashville SC. Where to even begin? Maybe just a quick highlight and recap of what has happened in the off season for Nashville in terms of impactful or newsworthy items, because I have a lot of concerns about Nashville, and I don't know if you have the concerns because maybe you're closer to them than I am. But let's just start with what has changed.
Yeah, we had a pretty big roster turnover, which I think is kind of common when you have a whole coaching staff turnover as well. So it was, I think, around midsummer, late summer. In case y'all don't know, we said goodbye to Gary Smith and picked up BJ from the national team, and made a lot of national fans upset, which is fine. But shortly after, our assistant manager quit, our goalie, keeper, manager quit, a few other people quit. And you see that a lot. And then on the off season, we lost some founding members, I guess we could say. One that hurt me was Anaval Godoy, has been with us since game one and a huge fan favorite. He always comes over the supporter section, always trying to do community stuff. So we will miss him. He went off to San Diego to start a whole nother club again. But we kind of saw the writing on the wall on that one too, as him and the new manager weren't seeing eye to eye, and that was kind of common knowledge. But so we lost a few. Penico, who was our hero during the Leagues Cup run we had 2 years ago, and then we picked up a few gentlemen as well, and that's what I was going to talk about. We picked up quite a few, but I wanted to focus on three of them. The first being Brian Acosta. We get an Acosta, y'all lose an Acosta. It happens. He's a Honduras national team player, which is really cool. A pretty big defensive piece. I think everywhere you look, it just says midfielder. So a lot of fans at first looked that he was a midfielder, then saw that he has like one goal in his last 3 years. But he is a defensive midfielder, wins a lot of battles, even for his height. No offense, Brian, if you ever listen. But he wins a lot of aerial battles as well, which is needed. He was with the Rapids for a little bit. He joined the Timbers, never played, as they sold him to an Honduras league, and he was there for a year. And from what I understand from another source, he was there also for some family things, so he wanted to spend a year down there. But he comes in at the age of 31, and that's where some fans are getting concerned, and you'll kind of see a trend going on here in a second. Still a great player. Very excited to have him. Also, huge love for Honduras, and we got a couple of their national team players. But, if BJ is looking at building a team, we're bringing in some people who might not have a lot of longevity there. But we'll kind of get into that too. So very excited about that defensive piece, especially since we lost Dax McCarty 2 years ago and Abal Godoy this past offseason. And as I could say this past offseason, because the season starts this weekend. And Sean Davis still, I don't think, is 100% healthy. So we definitely needed that defensive midfielder. Very excited. The one I'm very excited about, and I was surprised about, was the Gaston Brugman from LA Galaxy, the MLS Cup MVP. Big playmaker. Again, coming in at around, I think, 32, maybe 33. And I want everyone listening to know I'm 35, so I'm not calling these gentlemen old, but in soccer, when you start getting to that age, you do start slowing down. Big playmaker. I'm excited for Gaston, and that's what he will be as we sing the Gaston song in the stands. He's going to help get the ball to Hani. He's going to help get the ball to Sam Surridge, and those are two things we had some issues with a lot. We would get the ball down the field, we would look good, and then to get the ball in a shooting position was where we missed the mark every time. So I think Gaston will help us there. And then last big piece, Andy Nahar, another Honduras player, big defensive piece to help out Zimmerman. We let go of Shaq Moore. That was the other one I was thinking of earlier, which kind of surprised me as he worked with BJ on the national team. But we lost Shaq Moore and picked up Andy. And Zimmerman, especially with local podcasts and stuff, has been pretty outspoken on the offseason about wanting more help on defense, as obviously we lost quite a few defensive players, and I think he was heard. Andy has a lot of experience in MLS, a lot of great stats that I don't even think I need to get into. But going on this trend here, a 31-year-old. So I'm okay with it. Again, I'm 35. These guys are young to me, but talking about the consensus with fans right now is, what are we building our team around? You know, who are we building our team for? These are great players. I'm excited to have them. I will probably be picking up an Andy Nahar jersey come soon. Not the new ones. They're trash. But a new one, a new type of jersey. So I guess what I would like to throw back to you, Russell, as I know, throw right on back. Do you think we should keep building around Hani Mukhtar, or should we maybe start focusing on building around a striker who has a pretty good shot, Sam Surridge?
Sorry, I'm still waiting on the striker that has a pretty good shot. What's the
listen, that's what I was saying earlier. He's made some shots that were like, what in the world? But if he gets the ball in his prime spot, he's golden. The problem is he was getting the ball outside of the box. Yeah. He would get the ball outside the box up closer to midfield most of the time. And because that's what Hani would do, they expected him to dribble in. That's not his strength. You give him a cross or get it to his feet in the box, and he's most likely going to score. The problem is we haven't been able to do that for him.
Yeah, I think for me, when I look at Nashville, in terms of what do they actually need, when you guys were some of the most effective forward, like passing and creating chances, and yes, there was, the Hani magic, right, in one of those early seasons for you, but that was also a season when Randall Leal was healthy for most of the season. I know Leal left you guys in this past off season, and it's kind of bittersweet because I think Nashville was always better with Leal on the field, but the man just couldn't stay healthy. So like that, I don't think Nashville really had a choice. Like you can't have him continue to take up a roster spot. So coming back to the original point though, when you talk about, say, like Gaston, right, coming in and being able to hopefully be a connecting piece in the midfield, I think you guys still probably need one, maybe two more pieces like that, because realistically, MLS is a long season. And guys like Gaston, it's great to have them on the team. You can't rely on just one person to be a connecting piece in the midfield for you. There's, injuries, there's tactics from other teams. Like if people know hey, if we just mark Gaston into oblivion, then they can't get the ball upfield. That's what they'll do. So you need to have other outlets. So for me, I look at it, it's like I'd like to see a complementing piece for Gaston, another, midfield type to connect the the sixes and the back line to Hani and to Surridge. And then I'd like to maybe see another like depth piece behind that as well. So I don't know if it's building for Surridge so much as it is just you need to make it so that Surridge and Hani don't need to drop so far back to receive the ball.
Exactly. And that's kind of what you did exactly what I wanted you to say. Thanks, Russell. For one, about Randall Leal, he was also a fan favorite. However, he played in 4 games last season. And the season before that, he played in 12, and those were the first 12 games of the season. So we love him, and I really wish him the best. That dude has so much talent, but he just couldn't stay healthy, and we hated it. It is bittersweet. I think that's the best way to describe that. We did keep on to Schaffelberg, though, and that was kind of a surprise for a lot of us, as we knew there was interest in him from a lot of other teams, including overseas. But it gave us hope when we kept him, because that's saying, hey, like, we know he's an essential piece. I think he's going to help a lot. And the next kind of piece, which goes in perfectly, is going to talk about the youngins that I found out just recently. I know. That BJ brought in.
Young players?
Yeah, I know.
In Nashville?
So here's our theory. The fans, y'all listening, y'all probably heard me talk about this already. Mike Jacobs, our GM, loves Moneyball. He's going to find the best deals, which you have to in MLS. You really do. But because of that, we get a lot of older players from him. BJ Callahan loves to try to find that young talent and build off of it. And we have about 5 or 6 that they signed on to the team from either Huntsville or some other academy on this offseason. Applewhite played in Huntsville last season. He's now signed on. Matthew Corcoran, I think he came from a different MLS academy, but he signed on. Adam Sipic is a Nashville native, which went through our academy. He was our first real homegrown signing at 17 last year. He actually, BJ has mentioned getting him more playing time. And then Jonathan Perez is who I really want to get to here. I think we got him from LA Galaxy as well. If that's not correct, sorry, y'all. But his first season was with us last year. He's on loan, but I think we are looking to, get that trade going. But he got put on. Gary Smith didn't play him a single minute, which, for whatever, I appreciate Gary. He got our club's MLS career started. But BJ's second game, Jonathan Perez hits the field and gets the ball down to the goal 4 or 5 times within the last 30 minutes of the game. Next game he played, he's making passes, making connections. He's 22 years old. It was him and Hani were connecting very well. It was that other piece, that other side of the field from Schaffelberg that we were missing. So I'm really excited about some young players he brought in, but also local talk is talking about, is this bad that we know BJ Callahan wants to bring in younger people? Our GM keeps getting some older gentlemen. Is this going to cause friction? I think it's good. I think it sounds like they've made a compromise. He was able to find some good homegrown MLS Academy players. We still got some veterans with a lot of MLS experience come in. But I do see the switch from other off seasons, more so this season than ever, of we're not looking for pieces as much to complement Hani as we are looking for pieces to stop the ball at midfield with I think 3 defensive midfielders we picked up, and get it up to Hani, get it up to a winger who can get it to Sam in the middle. And so that is exciting. I love Hani Mukhtar. He's going to get a statue built one day, probably. I mean, he put our club on the map for good reason, and love him. And I hope he stays until he retires. But I think we're at a point, I think Sam was that piece that was like, okay, we got Hani, that person he can pass to, but now we got to get other players down the field who can keep up with Hani and Sam. And so I'm not throwing Honey out the door. I think we're building around Sam, but I think that's because Sam was what was needed for Hani. Does that make sense? So
Yeah, I can see the logic there. I appreciate as well that you're touching briefly on, what the fans are talking about and some of the concerns that they're having as well, because I feel better that I have concerns about Nashville. Before we launch into that though, I am curious, what else are the fans saying? Like, are they optimistic for the season? Do they think that this is going to be a season of redemption? Do they think this is going to be kind of like an improvement over last year, but maybe not a lot of improvement? Maybe there's probably some negative Nellies out there, and then the second part to that is what are your personal expectations as well?
yeah, a majority wants us to be not just playoff contenders, but like playoffs, like for sure. Like you are going to make the playoffs. Might not make it far, but you're going to make. Most of us understand new coach, new coaching staff, a lot of new players. Soccer, I think, more than any other sport, relies on chemistry between players. That takes time. So I think I don't want to say the bar is not high. Like we would love to have a playoff game at home. We haven't had one in our new stadium yet. So that would be really cool. There are some, I mean, I think every team has those fans that are like, we should win the championship every year. And it's like, realistically, we're just not there. And we're excited to be back in the U.S. Open Cup. I do think with the teams that are in there, we might have a chance at that actually. And we're very excited about that. You do have negative Nellies who are like, I'm selling my season tickets. This is the worst team we've ever had. And I'm like, I don't know, y'all. We got some good pieces.
And you guys have had some pretty bad teams under Gary.
Yeah, I know. Boring. Not just bad, boring teams. I appreciate Gary getting our club started in MLS, but he had boring soccer. And sometimes it was hard to watch. When you leave a game 0-1 and you scored that one goal 5 minutes in. So, and then you park the bus. So we do have some negative Nellies out there. We also have some unrealistic expectation type of people out there. I think every fan group or every team has those fans. But I think the general consensus is we know we're rebuilding. We have a lot of new pieces, a lot of hopeful things, a lot of, I would say yellow flags, not red flags, but some of the yellow flags, such as the age of people we're bringing in. I guess I should go back on that too. I don't know if I touched on this last time I was on here, but when we got our first like real roster, it was much more up there in age than most rosters. And what they told us was we wanted veterans to get it started, but we're going to start bringing in young people. And we haven't really seen it until BJ started calling up these kids. So that gave us some hope. But when your GM promised something and you haven't seen it yet, especially after is this our 6th year? Yeah, this will be our 6th season. Fans start getting a little impatient.
Understandable, to be honest. So then, just because I don't think we've hit on it, your personal expectations. Do you want to pick where do you want to pick where you think the team will finish? And are you curious where the rest of the MLS Now team picked on the episode that we recorded last night that came out today when we're recording this? But I'm curious to get your thoughts on where others had put Nashville as well.
Oh, I think we're going to be pretty far down. I think we're going to miss the playoffs. I don't think I'm a pessimist. I think I'm a realist. I love statistics and analyzing, and I love my team, and I'll be there at every game. But I don't think this is a year where we come out kicking. I think this is a year where, well, let's also talk about BJ Callahan, who hasn't really been a head coach before. He doesn't know his style of ball, really. He's trying to figure that out with a whole new team, basically. So me and my wife talk about it. We're going to go. We're going to enjoy it. We're going to hopefully meet some players, and we're going to not have high expectations. And that's okay. Teams will have seasons like that. I think the issue will be if we're talking, summer of 26 and we don't see improvement, my tone will be different.
Fair enough. So just to give you some context, in the preseason big show that went incredibly long last night, Nashville was put anywhere from 15th up to 6th. And I'm curious because I personally had them at I think, yeah, I personally had them at 12th is where I put them. And I think that whole area is going to be pretty congested. So while it might say 12th, I don't think it's like they're 10 points out of ninth. I think they'll probably end up being like 1 or 2 points out of ninth.
I think 15th is pretty good. That's actually what was going through my head. I'm trying to pull up our schedule because that's another thing us fans aren't too excited about. We have a lot of West Coast away games this year. I don't know if you remember, but 2 years ago they put us in the Western Conference, which was crazy,
Brutal.
horrible schedule. People made fun of us because we weren't going to away games. I'm like, yo, that's a 8-hour flight. So, but we're at Seattle, we're at San Diego. Real Salt Lake's not too bad, but for whatever reason, they keep putting us in a lot of these far Western Conference games, and that's most of our away games, I feel like. So I am worried about those. We have never played well going that far west. I think it's tough when there's that big of a time difference. I was actually on a podcast for a West Ham thing a few months ago, and trying to explain the time difference of Tennessee and California to people in England was very fun. But it's, 4 hours, I think. So there's a lot to take into fact there. And that's why I think we're going to drop down lower, is because of our schedule, because of our travel. There's 2 times that we have a Wednesday game out in the West Coast and then a home game on Saturday. And that's just not going to be great for the team. Stuff like that. I think there's a lot of variables. And then my biggest is, you mentioned it earlier, we don't have a lot of depth. Guzman goes down, we're in trouble. God forbid, Hani went down, we're last place. So we don't have depth, and that's gonna hurt us, especially when we're doing the Open Cup and trying to compete there. And so I think 15th is probably where I'd put us. I like that for this year, and then next year you see us bounce back.
Point of clarification: are you saying 15th in the East, or are you saying 15th in the Supporter Shield?
I was not the Supporter Shield. No, well, no, because the playoffs are 9 from each conference now, right?
Right.
Yeah, I would say basically in the East. Okay. I think we're gonna have a tough season.
I agree with you. I think teams like DC and Toronto are gonna have even rougher seasons.
DC has Leal now, though, so who knows? Maybe he'll play for them.
Maybe, yeah.
I could be. I could be pessimistic because of how our last 2 seasons have gone, really, and then I've been a little disappointed with the off season.
And to be fair, I think that's where my biggest concern comes in, is because historically, and it could just be because that's how Gary plays it, Nashville has been relatively successful defensively. It's been the other side of the ball. Like, to your point, if a team got a goal on Nashville, I'd look at it and be like, okay, well, Nashville could still get a draw in this, but like Nashville go down 2-0 under Gary, and I'm like, well, that's probably the game. Like, when was the last time Nashville scored 2 goals under Gary? You may know the answer to that offhand, and it would not surprise me if it was like over a year ago at this point.
I think it was early season last year. It was a home game because we were all surprised. We went 7 to 8 home games without scoring a single goal last year. We had, between some fans, like a bet pool going on when the next game we'd score at home. It was bad.
Yeah, and that's because I'm again, I've pulled up some reference material here on the players inside for Nashville, and ostensibly there is only one person on the transfers in that is marked as a forward. Now there's a number of midfielders, and again, these could be guys who are more like central midfielders to forward midfielders, but again, I look at it and it's like, well, there's one person who's a striker or a forward being brought in. They're from MLS Next Pro. So like, it seems to me Nashville's going all in on saying Sam and Hani are going to carry us, and they're never going to get injured or miss a game. And that scares me.
I did I should have scrolled down to my notes on the youngins section. We did pick up, I'm going to say this wrong, the Norwegian player, Edvard Tagseth.
Oh, I thought you were about to say Erling Haaland, and I was going to be like, dang, what a Norwegian pickup.
What a crazy thing. No, but he's a younger kid. I think 22, 23, but has a lot of overseas experience, and I think played with like the U19 national team, stuff like that. And he is a kind of forward midfielder type of thing too. So there is some kind of piece there, but also I always get a little hesitant putting too much hope in people who haven't played in MLS yet. I don't think we're leagues above anybody else kind of thing, but we're different. The travel is different. The style of play is different. And sometimes it doesn't translate well. But I am excited to see what he can bring. Again, another young player that I know came from BJ's recommendation, what he wanted, what he was searching for. So, again, I'm excited about that. And that is the last youngin I had on my list. I had to scroll down.
Fair enough. Hey, I'll tell you, I think while you're right, MLS isn't necessarily, head and shoulders above every other league in the world, right? I think, and I love it because Talis Magno is the person I keep bringing up on this, because he was even quoted as saying in Brazil, like, the league's better than what I thought it was going to be. I wasn't prepared for how physical it was or what the quality of play was going to be. And I'm just like, yes, yeah, we're improving. Yes. Yeah. And it's like, I think, yeah, we're not the top league in the world, but we are better than what I think a lot of players historically have associated with MLS, which is a good and a bad problem to have. Good because I think that means that a better type of player could be persuaded to come play here, but bad because if you bring in someone who thinks that we're not a good league, you get, the Higuain story of, I thought I was going to go to MLS and smoke cigarettes and run around, on the field. It's like, no, you're not going to do that.
Yeah. It's a competitive league. And yeah, I don't think you see a lot of people take away the short guy from Miami, come in and just dominate from day one from another league, from overseas or anything. It takes them time, usually.
You did forget about the biter in Miami as well.
I feel like it took him maybe not a whole season, but he took I feel like a couple games, if not more, to start getting aggressive.
Yeah.
And then he's pushing goalies into nets and,
Right. But, and then he, it's competing for Golden Boot, and I think he was, only 2 goals off of it last year?
Oh, no, he did great. Don't get me wrong. But
yeah, it's insane to me that I wanted him to do poorly so bad just so I could be like, we're a better league. Yeah. And then he comes in and is just like immediately, just scoring goals for fun. I was like, dang it. Well, he's a really good player, but dang it, I wanted him to at least struggle a little bit.
I get that.
Okay, so let's say, though, that Nashville doesn't finish 15th. Let's say that Nashville hits, 8th place, right? Into the playoff play-in game spot. What do you think, and we can cap it off, say, 3 things, right? What are some things that you think need to go right to get Nashville to perform to a playoff level this year?
First thing, health. Going back to depth. An injury can really cripple us. We saw it last year too. So one reason our season was so bad. Can't think of the defensive player we got that we spent some good money on, and then he got hurt in practice before the season started. We then lost our golden boy who cleat up tackled Messi, who was a starting defensive player. And we kind of just saw these injuries, Leal, Sean Davis. And even with, I feel like we had some more depth back then, even with those injuries, it just started falling off. And we don't even have that depth now. So health is going to be our number one thing. And then I think connecting down, going down the field, I think our defense is going to be solid again. It's hard not to. We may overhype Zimmerman in Nashville, but seeing him play live, he directs that field. He directs the whole defense. He has some pieces. Jack Mayer's back for his 5th season, I believe. He has the pieces. I think we're going to be decent defensively, and I think we're going to control the midfield well. If we can get that final third going, it's going to make a world. If we get that final third going, I wouldn't be surprised if we're in the playoffs. But that's been our struggle for 6 years now. Going on 6 years now, is that final third. So I would say that. And then another thing, I would have to say just the locker room chemistry. I kind of touched on this with Anibal Godoy, but it was like the last home game or second last home game. We saw players kind of getting in each other's faces and bickering, and some like ran off to the field, threw their shirts. BJ admitted, the locker room is not the best he would want it to be right now. That had that's what happens when you switch all your coaching staff in the middle of a season. But I don't know how much that spread. I don't know, say maybe Hani and Sam got into it, whatever the case may be. I think for us to get to that point, they're going to have to just play ball, get their chemistry going, leave all that stuff off the field. And hopefully they've been working on that in the offseason.
Right. Hug it out. Go on a team retreat. Go play some laser tag, do a lock-in at the local rec center.
Yeah. So I think those three things, but the one I'm most doubtful about, to be honest, is that final third. And I think it's me being pessimistic that we haven't seen it in Nashville yet. Even in our USL days, that we struggled final third. So I don't know what it is about our club, but we'll see.
Well, hey, look, I can tell you we were right there with you last year in Cincinnati, and fingers crossed that we've addressed that this year. So, in a perfect world, both of our teams have addressed that this offseason.
Yeah. I feel like a few teams actually had some locker room issues last year. The MLS drama never stops. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't like when it's my team.
So, side question, what's your expectation for U.S. Open Cup? And if not Nashville, who would you pick to win U.S. Open Cup this year?
I think Nashville I think we can be a real competitor. I know our ownership wants silverware so bad, and I could see them actually focusing on that more than the regular season during that point. Who I think would win? You know what? This might be a hot take. I could honestly see a USL taking this one. Our MLS
I don't think that's a hot take at all.
I mean, the teams that are on there, I don't know if y'all talked about this on the podcast. It's like they scrape the bottom of MLS and be like, y'all can play over there. And which is fine. I love the Open Cup. But if they had a season to take home that cup, it's this one. And not only do I think it will happen, I kind of want it to happen. I would love to see that. If not Nashville, definitely a USL team, especially with the announcement they just made this week as well. So,
right,
like to see them on the map more. Love MLS. I want MLS to succeed, but that's why I love the U.S. Open Cup, because just all the drama there.
Yeah, it's, and if you want drama, getting a Division I USL league going would give you drama. Yeah, especially up, like look at like Detroit, for instance. Oh my gosh, like that would be, having them in the top division would be something.
Yeah, our Louisville, we would love to see Louisville make it, but yeah, I honestly, this is me being biased. I could see Nashville putting their eggs in that basket and going all out for it and possibly getting it, because I love all the teams. This might be the weakest U.S. Cup I've ever seen. So,
yeah, I mean, and actually, let me look. Did anyone pick Nashville to win U.S. Open Cup? No. No. I, for the record, I chose San Jose because San Jose is going to be a significantly better team than what I think people expected them to be when they were making this bracket.
No, I could see that.
So,
but again, U.S. Cup is full of parity, so
yeah.
I would laugh pretty hard because I don't remember which MLS Next teams are on there, but I would laugh pretty hard if the championship was MLS Next versus a USL.
I can tell you, we have the Carolina Core, Chattanooga FC, Crew 2, FC Cincinnati 2, and Inter Miami 2. And then you have LAFC 2, Real Monarchs, SKC 2, Tacoma Defiance, and Ventura County FC are
Let's
the
go
MLS Next
Chattanooga.
Pro.
Get a Tennessee
Yeah,
team in there.
I still remember watching the Chattanooga like announcement.
Yeah, it surprised us, to be honest, but they were used to be fun little rivals way back in the early club days. As you know, Chattanooga's 3 hours away from us. Same with Knoxville, but that would be cool to see them. I don't think they'll get there, just knowing what I know about them, but it'll be fun to watch them.
It will be. So, okay, we've talked about it a little bit. Health is a big concern. I'm gonna put you on the spot and make you have to pick something else just to make you think a little bit and make you sweat. What's the big concern, the big worry, like if something happens that you could point to at the end of the season, and let's say that you end up having a not great season, and like there's one thing that you can be like, that did it. This one thing. What's that one thing gonna be? If it's not health, like again, I think that's too low of a hanging fruit there.
No, I get it. So what would be that one thing if we didn't have a great season that we could probably point at the end of the season? I'm going to have to say it would be, I hate to throw them down because I do love them. I think it would be our front office. And again, that's a lot of the talk of the town right now is our front office stepping on our new coach's feet already. I think that has been a big issue, not just in MLS, but a lot of pro sports in America lately, of front office not letting coaches do what they need to do. And again, BJ's been very transparent. He's great with the media, and he's never said like, oh, they're stepping on my feet. But he has made comments like, I want younger people. I want more attacking people, blah, blah, blah. And then the big news we get is 31-year-old defensive player, 30-year-old defensive player. And it's like, well, our coach just said this. And so I could see that being a big concern. I really hope it's not, because I really want BJ to work out. I think what he wants and what he's described, what he wants this club to be, is what the fans want, a very aggressive, attacking, fun to watch team. But if is that what the front office wants? I mean, they stuck with Gary for how many years? So we'll see. But that
is the answer.
Yeah, exactly. I think that will be, looking back, if we just have a horrible season, we'll see a lot of friction, bumping heads between our front office and our coach trying to, I mean, he said it. He wants to change the atmosphere of this club, which was needed. I mean, we have the biggest soccer specific stadium and was filling it maybe a third of the time, like to the third. On a Saturday game, we'd have 10,000 people there because nobody wants to watch Gary ball where you parked the bus for 70 minutes. So he does have some work to do, but yeah, nailing down on that, that's what it would be.
Do you think people are going to come back like quickly? Is Nashville a city that's quick to trust, like when change happens, or is BJ going to have to earn it first?
I would say we're quick to forget. So, like, from what I understand, it's supposed to be, and I know this isn't big for a lot of people, but it's supposed to be in the 20s on Saturday, which is really low for Tennessee. But from what I understand, we still should have a packed out stadium. People are excited for soccer to be back. It's in a great location in Nashville. The atmosphere can be amazing. And I think that's what worries me. I think BJ is going to have a few home games to at least prove that we're going to have fun games to watch. We might not be winning them all, but we're going to be more aggressive. We're not going to sit back on our heels. And I think if he does that, it'll bring in and keep a lot of the fans. So,
okay. As long as those fans arrive on buses, rideshare, bicycles, because I'm assuming the parking situation near the stadium has not been remedied yet.
It should be. So, you've been there. We have houses all around. A lot of those houses are gone, and they started on the parking lot. So parking should be a lot better. We got an email about it not too long ago. But I found a nice house who's very nice, and he saves me a spot in his driveway, so I don't worry about parking. But
Nice.
yeah, that's something they still need to work out. But they're doing better. They partnered with a party bus one time last year, I think it was, maybe 2 years ago, and that was really fun. You just jump on a party bus for
See,
free.
that seems on brand. Like that that's a good good publicity, good public outreach. Like more of that.
Yeah, soon we'll have like those pedal taverns coming up to the games. Who knows?
Hmm. You'll be able to get like special seating, and it'll be like a pedal wagon like seating, and you can like pedal while you watch the game, and like you pedal to like have like air conditioning blow on you during like the summer or something. Or maybe you pedal to like have warm air come on you during the winter. Although that seems counterproductive because you're already going to be warm from pedaling. But look, I'm not the marketing guy.
It's a great idea. I do want to give a shout out to Nashville because you just mentioned it, and I did want to talk about this. We have sensory seating, and my daughter we have learned has some sensory needs, and we sat in it. Free headphones. They made it to where the speaker announcements, stuff like that, isn't as loud. It's not directed to those seats. So just shout out to Nashville SC for being considerate to fans. That was the most my daughter ever paid attention in those sensory seats to the game, and she loves soccer. So sorry to go way off topic there, Russ, but just wanted to give that shout out. I think more stadiums should look into that as I think that would get a more diverse fans in. So
Yeah. I mean, look, they call it the world's game for a reason. So
yeah,
make it so that more people around the world can enjoy it, even if those people are already in your backyard. But get more people to soccer, and MLS should want to do that. I mean, we're heavily reliant on ticket revenue. Like we don't have an NFL style TV contract. Teams aren't getting $1 billion a year for they're part of a TV revenue thing. MLS teams are getting like $8.5 million a year from TV revenue.
Yeah.
Like I will tell you right now, their tickets at most stadiums probably do triple to maybe quadruple depending on your mix of premium seating versus what that TV contract is supposedly bringing in.
Well, Nashville relies on their $20 beer. That's how they make their.
Yeah, we don't have $20 beers at Cincinnati, but you can get an $18 beer boot, and then all the refills of the beer boot are like a discounted price.
What? We started doing beer boots, but we don't get refills, I think.
Even at a discounted price. You get discounted price beer boots, and it's draft beers into the beer boot.
That's nice.
And the best part is you go like during the quote unquote happy hour, where they're trying to like get people to go into the stands and get their drinks early, right? And if you go during like the happy hour, you can get like it discounted even further. So it's basically the cost of a normal beer at that point. And then you still get the discounted beers later on. So
that's a good idea. Nashville, y'all should listen to this.
Look, beer boots are fun.
Oh,
makes for great merch.
It really is. Do y'all have like the game date on it and stuff?
They have like I do. Hold on. Let me grab one. I was looking. I was like, I think I have one in the office. Yeah. Let me make sure I don't roll my chair over my cat in the meantime too. So the answer is no, we don't have the game date, but it is, they color code the stickers on the front of them. So like it's supposed to be like a shin guard for the beer boot. And so in theory, the little color coding sticker on the shin guard changes for each match. Oh, that way they know that, you're not bringing in an old one.
Ours looks a lot like that, except it's always yellow, shin guardish. But they put the game, like who's playing and the date on each one. So pretty cool souvenir. Yeah.
More
way off
beer
topic.
Boots.
Sorry, everybody.
No, it's not off topic because I'm going to throw my standing off topic question at you, which is if you woke up tomorrow morning, right? 8 a.m. your alarm goes off. Maybe it goes off earlier. I don't know. But 8 a.m. your alarm goes off. And Don Garber walks in through your door and you're just like, holy, what? How do you have a key to my house, Don Garber? And he's like, no, don't worry about it. Like, hear me out. And he says, I'm making you the VP of marketing for all of MLS, and I need you to come up with a new gimmick, a new marketing strategy that goes live at 9 a.m. You have 59 minutes to come up with something. Like, what are you doing if put on the spot? And you've got to come up and like have your one big pitch or one big idea to improve MLS's marketing.
I got it. This is easy, Russ. You call Nickelodeon, okay? Have you
All
seen
right.
them? Have you seen them do the Nickelodeon football games?
Yeah. I sure have.
For everyone listening, I work with kids from ages K through 12 every day. These kids will watch every football game that they have those Nickelodeon commentators. And you know those kids are going to grow up and be fans because they're already watching games. That's where you go. You get those kids in. And I don't know if you've ever watched them. They're pretty hilarious. So you have SpongeBob, Patrick, commentating, and then someone will get the ball stolen or intercepted, and Dora the Explorer will pop up and be like, no swiping, swiper, no swiping. And it's pretty fun. It's like, oh man. But I would say girls, boys, half our kids after they've done a Nickelodeon game will be talking about it the next day. And that's, I think, what MLS can do is cater to some of the kids. Those are your future fans. You got to, some of my best memories with my dad were football. He took me to football games. Get kids in there and they'll be fans for life.
Wholeheartedly agree, for the record. My marketing gimmick plays on a similar thing, except I go even more meta. So, but yeah, I agree. You got to go where the kids are right now.
What's yours?
You do a Fortnite collaboration. Kids, I mean, like Fortnite or Roblox or something. Like kids are playing that nonstop. Like, I don't know. I feel like I hate to go milk the Messi tree, right? But like, if you put Messi into Fortnite as like an MLS Messi skin, how many kids will be running around as Messi in Fortnite?
Oh, that's a great idea. I have a dare for you. If you're ever in a school or some type of children's program, just run in and say, Fortnite's overrated, and just see what happens.
That will be easy for me because I already think that.
I do too. Not a big fan, and I love telling them that, but that's a great plan. But agree. Like, we gotta reach the youth. Soccer is the fastest growing sport in America right now. Let's get the kids involved. So I love it.
MLS can get in there and do their best impression of the "How do you do, fellow kids?"
Yes, Steve Buscemi.
Nice. Love it. Well, Christian, this was kind of taking me to the end of my prepared questions. Before we wrap up, anything else you want to throw in? Any other ideas, thoughts, topics on your mind? Open forum, open floor, and all that.
Yeah, I guess you kind of made me think if Don Garber broke into my house and the scariness of that. But if he broke into yours, what would be, and he said you can change anything right now, what would you change?
I've been outspoken about it, and I want to see it come back. The 50-yard, like, old-style penalty shoot.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw this. MLS on their social media page was putting out like some preseason content where they like talk to players from different teams around the league, and like one of the things they did was like with young players, and they were handing them like old stuff like floppy disks or like Game Boys or like VHS tapes, and being like, "Do you know what this is?" But another one was like, "Oh, what would you change about it?" And I want to say, I think Roman Berkey on there was like, "Oh yeah, like bring like old school shootouts." He's like, "I love that. I'm a goalkeeper, and that would make my life like so much easier and let me play the angles. Bring that back."
They're more exciting too. No, that's awesome.
Easily. What about you? Aside from the old school shootouts, which is not controversial at
all. The salary rolls. I worked in finance for 12 years, and I still get confused with all the salary rolls. Fair.
I still work in finance.
Yeah, it's convoluted, I think, and I understand salary caps, but they've made it way too complicated. So just fixing that.
Yeah, the little guides that they have teams put out now, starting last year, is a step in the right direction, at least, of getting some idea of how teams are spending their money. Not perfect, but, baby steps.
Well, this is also a Nashville fan who we buy more GAM and don't do anything with it. We have someone in our support
anymore.
That is true. We have a person in our supporter section. Shout out, don't know your name, but they have a Nashville SC jersey, and the name on the back is GAM, and it's awesome. So,
the one player is never leaving Nashville.
Yeah, that we're gonna pick up every season.
Awesome. Well, Christian, thank you very much for making some time to be on. I'm glad we got to connect, especially ahead of the season. So, obviously, best of luck to Nashville. I'm going to be eagerly awaiting to see what they do this year, because I feel like my questions and my worries were partly confirmed talking to you, but now I'm at least interested to see if the youth have a little bit more of a role to play in Nashville, and if they can, carry the flag and be that next generation for the team. So your insight is very appreciated.
And when we reconnect later this season, I might have a happy tone or not happy tone. We'll see.
Absolutely. Well, and look, if you're not having a happy tone, what I need you to do is you're going to go grab one of the beer boots from Nashville Stadium, right?
Yes.
Just fill that on up, and we'll have a little group therapy session right here on the podcast.
Good stuff.
Awesome. Well, just a quick reminder, if you could, because I've only heard it once now, if you could just remind us where to find you on Blue Sky if people want to follow you.
I'm at Super Wyatt. Very easy, just Super Wyatt.
All one word, all uppercase, surely.
Yeah, one word, lowercase.
Love it. And as always, just a quick reminder that you can find me and the rest of the podcast crew at MLS Now Podcast. Basically everywhere. I mean, whether that be, Twitter, Blue Sky, Instagram, TikTok. I don't know if you can find us on TikTok anymore, but either way, we're all over social media. Feel free to follow us wherever you consume your social media. And with that said, Christian, thank you very much as always. Listeners, thank you very much as always. And we will see y'all next time.
Thank you.